But what do you do to prevent a server from dying? Like in your experience, what does
With your
that
admin
take?
experience.
Yeah.
So,
And as a player, yeah.
community involvement and events.
Now, okay, wow. Good to go, I think.
So the blocks we're standing on are 1.4.4.
Oh, that's old.
Yes.
Whoa.
So this world originally generated January 28th, 2012.
That's incredible.
That's crazy.
So if it's basically an island. So this is a plains. You go down a little bit to swamp. That's a swamp. There is a snowy taiga and a jungle and a desert just to the north on the same island.
Wow.
Wow. Oh, I see it a little bit in the background there.
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta up my render distance a little bit.
So fly. It's pretty crazy.
So is this
Oh.
like your single world, or do you have other people that play on this also?
So this world, this is a long story here, but I bought Minecraft because I have got children in a different state. My son in particular who got Minecraft, and so I went out and bought it. And the day I bought it, I set up a server.
Okay.
And so this is that world.
Nice.
And so I've had
Cool.
most of my kids plus some of their friends. I've had some of Questcraft on here. I've had probably 20 or 30 different people throughout the decade in and out of here.
Wow.
Wow.
But
A lot of
yeah, so
history.
Cool.
there is.
Yeah.
So most of these builds have been here since the very beginning, so I will never touch them.
Oh yeah.
How do you manage to like not want to clean things up and change things?
Sentimental.
Yep, that was the word I was thinking of.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when you stop and think about that castle originally was built by my son and I 10 years ago.
Oh,
Wow.
wow.
I don't want to get rid of it.
Yeah,
Yep, I don't
true.
blame you. That's incredible.
Yeah, the same thing with there's a Bomberman arena back there that's been there for, also 10, 11 years. And some of these structures, I mean, I've upgraded some of them and I've changed some of them, and I've added stuff,
Mm-hmm.
obviously, but the main structures have been here for a decade. So
Wow.
it's sentimental because this is where so the only place I got to spend time with a couple of my kids because they lived 1,000+ miles away. And
Yeah.
so, yeah,
Wow.
it became very sentimental. That's why I have spawn protection on, is I don't want people coming in and mess with stuff because this stuff has
Oh,
been here
true.
for a
Definitely.
long time.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel
I'm
like
sure you have
this
like
should be
backups too.
I feel like this needs to be part of our podcast. Do we need to like do our intro real quick?
Okay.
Hi everybody, welcome to Limelight. Today we're joined by our guest Enki here, and we are accompanying him on his server. Enki, what's the name of this one?
I've named it, at least for the time being, it's called Atlas Craft.
Okay, so today we're here on Atlas Craft. Chili,
Ow.
myself, Taco, and our guest Enki.
Welcome, everyone. So this is quite the adventure for us. We are a Limelight podcast, and today we are not actually on Limelight, and we're not talking to one of our limes. We're talking to an outsider on another SMP, a foreign content creator. It's so controversial. So we'll see what happens if this episode will polarize our viewership. But I was really interested in getting an outside perspective because I, at least personally, have very little SMP and very little content creator experience. And so I only know what's right in front of me. So I wanted to get a broader perspective and kind of compare notes.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see similarities and differences between how Limelight is run and how you run your several servers. Am I correct in saying that?
Yeah, what's your resume right now? What are your projects?
My current resume right now is I own this world, of course, because I've had this world for a decade. I am currently the administrator of a server called Questcraft, which was, I don't want to say specifically designed or geared for, but it was opened up to the ADHD and ASD communities. So there's roughly 100 people or so on there. I'm the server admin. I don't own it, but I am the administrator.
Gotcha.
I also have a small resume of a handful of other worlds and servers over the years. In fact, I've got 3 or 4 right now in a server list that I'm just kind of keeping an eye on for some friends that they don't do a lot with it, but it's like I just need someone with experience. And I've helped a few people out, so I've got some experience.
And I know you from Autocraft.
Yes.
As I was kind of researching, as I do, similar SMPs, similar content creator SMPs to kind of not like check out the competition in a sketchy way, but kind of like get ideas, honestly, of like if something's going really well for somebody else, like we could try that. Or if something's not going well, I could be like, all right, we should probably avoid that. But you guys have such a nice community. I really instantly felt very comfortable there and have had a nice time just hanging out in the Discord and watching your guys' content.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. I mean, we've been trying to foster that for a while, so I'm glad that it's coming off and it's working.
And you guys are on season 2? No, what season are you on?
3.
3. Okay, nice.
And your seasons,
Yeah.
do your seasons last 1 year, or are they shorter or longer?
They run summer to summer, so June to June.
Okay.
Cool. Wow, us too.
Around update time? Seems
Around
to be a
update
trend.
time. That doesn't. I don't think we're going to change that, even though the update cycles are changing. It sounds like we're going to stick with that anyway. So we'll see how that actually pans out. But yeah.
What are some of the biggest differences between season 1 and season 3? Just off the top of your head.
So I wasn't around for season 1. I came in halfway through season 2. I was doing content creation on Questcraft, and I left Questcraft in a rather dramatic way, and then started creating content on Autocraft. I say dramatic because I needed to have a separation that formally ended one, but allowed me to create the other, allowed me to start the other without like there being controversy.
And that is so vague and sketchy. What do you mean? What does that mean? Oh, this is so pretty. These sparkles.
Yeah, they took away Firefly, so I added them.
Okay, is it a mod?
It's a data pack.
I want it. Thank you, please.
I'll send it to you.
No chili.
Thank you. You can't stop me. It's so pretty.
I tend on modifying it, so but yeah.
So you needed to leave that server and make a clean break?
I did. Because what I've discovered is that it's really hard to create content and be an administrator on the same world.
Yeah.
Especially when you have a server as large as Questcraft was or still is. And it's
was it kind of like the boss effect like Omni was talking about, where like, you don't want to like act different when the boss comes in? Or was it, what conflict of interest was it?
It was I would for the first several months, it was I would log in, I'm like, all right, I've got like 3 hours, and I would spend 2 to 2.5 hours helping sort out player issues. And so it became I was working more than playing, and it made it really difficult to separate the two and create content. And so I needed something to separate it. And I don't get me wrong, I love the community. I'm active in the community. I still participate in the community. I occasionally log into the world to see what they've done, and they've done some amazing things this season. They've done some fantastic things this season. But it's really difficult to play where you work. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. Just for context, when you say it is a larger server, how many people are you talking?
100.
Okay.
Pretty decent.
That's a fair amount, yeah.
That's big for our standards.
Definitely.
It is. But they're a great bunch of people. I like them. So, but
How many active players do you have? Like, like, let's say weekly players that are on like every week.
That's hard to know off the top of my head. I would say So a vast majority of the player base is between about 19 and 26, 27, and they're all college
Mm-hmm.
students.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
finals are this week. A lot of them going on break, and I was seeing on average of 3 to 4 when I would open Minecraft on any given day. I expect,
Mm-hmm.
especially starting this weekend, that number is going to go up to 15 to 20
Okay.
because people are now on winter break.
Okay. Another kind of follow-up question to that is, how do you deal with maintaining a community when some people are regulars and some people like log on once, ghost? Do you remove them after a certain while, or how do you deal with people who are just like very infrequently there? Because that's something that I've struggled with, honestly. So
That's usually a decision I leave to the owner.
mm,
What we did this time around was uh, anyone who had not logged in the previous, or anyone who had not logged in at all, who had not logged in
mhm,
past the first 2 weeks, or had been, and were immediately like taken off the whitelist. Um,
mm,
Anyone who had not logged in the previous 6 months,
mhm,
were reached out to, or you want to come back? What's your
mhm.
intention? And those that reached out said, "Yeah, we'll come back." Well, were kept on a whitelist, and those that did not respond were moved from the whitelist, and with the note of, if you want to come back, let us know. But for the time being, we're moving from the
Gotcha.
whitelist
Yeah.
just to kind of get managed, and that's probably going forward what we'll continue to do because he doesn't want to like exclude anyone,
Yeah.
because it is a server for neurodivergence, and with
Yeah.
that, you have executive dysfunction and emotional dysregulation, and sometimes things happen and people take it very personally. And so there's
Mm,
a certain amount of, we need to make sure that we're communicating clearly, and
yeah.
that it's that people understand that this is not a personal decision. Of course, you're welcome back if you want to, but we have to maintain a certain amount of reasonable um, numbers that we can like that are easier to handle
And
of
that's
Yeah.
active
kind of,
players.
sorry, like I have like a, but like that's exactly kind of what I'm getting at is, what is that thing that you're trying to protect by kind of filtering out people who aren't active? Like, what is that, the word we always use is like pitfall that you're trying to avoid, or like what aspect of the community are you trying to maintain by keeping an eye on that?
Honestly, it's the community itself.
Yeah. But
So
like, yeah, how does that influence it?
well, this is where it gets kind of difficult to explain to a degree. Most of the
Yeah.
community that we have are people who are fall into the LGBTQ
Mm-hmm.
or autism or ADHD, and a lot of them have been outed, removed, treated
Mm-hmm.
poorly by family,
Mm-hmm.
or by friends, or don't really have a support structure.
Yeah.
And so we don't want to be exclusionary, and we have to be very cautious about excluding anyone.
Yeah.
Um, and we want to be very welcoming. But with that being said, we need to make sure that we're not going to have someone who showed up once and disappears for months, comes back because they're having a bad day and is a little bit toxic.
Mm.
Yeah, so
That
Okay.
like
kind of
kind of
thing.
the same rules have to apply to everybody no matter what.
Yes, and we do. I don't want to say we would put up with, but we are much more understanding about rules being broken
Yeah.
and stuff like that than I think some of the servers would be, because we understand that the vast majority of the community have these divergencies that are
Mm-hmm.
not typical for most standard people, and we have a lot of a range of just about everything. And so when something happens, we have to really sit back and go, all right, what was the intent? What actually happened?
Mm.
Was this something that this person was just having a bad day? Um, and this is not normally how they behave, or is this a trend? Is this something we
Mm.
need to keep an eye on? So
Yeah.
thankfully the community kind of takes care of itself for the most part. There's been one or two small incidences where we've had to step in as admin staff or moderator staff and say, okay, these things, this is not acceptable.
Yeah.
But for the most part, the community itself understands each other, and everyone is pretty good about going, "Oh no, this is fine. We get it because we're all in the same boat here."
I can
That's
imagine
really
that
nice.
makes
Yeah.
your job as admin a lot easier.
Yeah.
In a lot of cases, yes.
So, I mean, it sounds like the premise is a lot of work, but you guys have kind of a unified vision or understanding of what that space is meant for. So if you all have that same goal, and for us on Limelight, I talk about this as like content creation being that unifying thing. But if your unifying factor is everyone believes in a welcoming, safe space for neurodivergent people, that's enough to kind of get everyone's priorities on the same page. So that's really cool.
Yeah, it's a safe place for people who are sometimes not welcome elsewhere in society, and that was part. That's
I
great.
really love that Minecraft can provide that safe place for
Yeah.
people, because there's, like you said, there's a lot of places that I don't want to say aren't a safe space, but like realistically, that's what
No,
it
you can
boils
say
down
that.
to, is there
Yeah.
aren't a safe space.
Yeah.
Right. There are a lot of places where there's no safe space, and
Yeah.
so we aim to provide that, and I believe in that a lot. That's one of the reasons why when I left making content creation there, I'm like, yeah, I'm leaving the server as a content creator, I'm leaving the server as a player, but I want to stick around and support the community because I believe in what he's trying to do here.
Mm.
That's really
Yeah,
cool.
Minecraft's really special that way, that it has that intersectionality to it where it can be for kids, it can be for adults, it can be for everybody in between walks of life and all that. Like it can appeal to anyone and everyone. So it just inherently has that capacity. So it's a cool game. I keep telling people about it.
Very cool game. Well, Anki, did you say you had a little digging project for us or something?
Just a
I
little
do.
thing.
It's just a tiny thing here. Let me
Is that why you gave us these shovels?
It is. Let me do this. Yes, if you want to throw on your elytras and grab your rockets.
Okay. I'm ready. What? Oh, you just started flying.
I know. I have a fly mode, but it's weird that I can't enable it for you for some reason.
That's okay.
But
We have our rockets.
so
Wow.
this area over here is 1.7.
I really
This
like
is
that
wild.
that hot air balloon.
Yeah, that's a recent addition.
For context, for me saying wow, I started playing in 1.15, and I never saw the Nether before 1.16.
Oh wow.
So I can't imagine the history the same way.
Yeah, it was like I was saying before we actually started. I have got children in a different state, and when I found out that my youngest son was playing Minecraft, I went out and bought it, immediately set up the server.
That's another example of how this game is just incredible, you know.
Yeah.
You can connect with, well, like you said, you've got your children are very, very far away, so to be able to connect with them in a game like this, it's just awesome. Any chance I heard a creeper? Any chance there's a bed around?
Oh yeah, there's one over here.
It's so sparkly. Can I have a sparkles on just my computer?
No.
Oh yeah.
Why?
This man's sleeping for me.
Might want to say spawn.
Can I? How do I get sparkles without forcing sparkles on other people?
And I don't know. I just found a data pack to put it on the server.
Okay.
Sorry.
You're gonna lose that vote, Chili.
No, it's so pretty. Yeah, well, if maybe there's a way to like that it's optional and people don't have to use it.
No, it's server side.
No, you don't know. Maybe I'll find a way. Okay, well, we'll just put a pin in that.
Yep. So, everything inside the purple wool is what I'm working on right now.
All the way down to Bedrock?
All just down to the ancient city.
Okay.
I'm uncovering an ancient city.
Taco,
Perfect.
calm yourself.
Hey, I'm
Only to the
excited.
ancient city.
I like
I have
digging.
to hold him back. He's
Right.
digging through the the city.
Yeah. So this area obviously is 119, 118, 119. But the main spawn island is 1.44. And it's a mixture of plains and jungle and a snowy taiga and a little bit of a desert. You go about 100 blocks south and it's 1.7. You go a bit further out and it's 1.14, and everything else there is 119. When they added the terrain merging with 118, the new blending that they did, I actually
Yeah.
trimmed it back a lot because
Ooh,
I had a
okay.
lot of jagged edges. And the
Yeah.
blending actually removed those jagged edges.
Cool. Extra benefit there.
Yep. So now it looks a bit more natural. But the seed has changed a lot. I actually loaded the seed up on a 119 world, and it's very, very different.
Yeah, I had a little mishap recently where I was looking for spider spawners. This is going to be my next episode. And I plugged it into Chunkbase, and I had accidentally been looking at 1.17, and there was absolutely nothing when I got there. And so, literally, my last episode ends with me being like, "Let's go! I'm going to go do this thing." And then I have a clip of me going to the place, digging down, and being like, "What's happening?"
That's funny.
Very anticlimactic beginning.
So, Anki, you've been doing content creation for quite some time, right?
About 3 years. Yeah.
Have you done all SMP content creation, or have you done any like single player yourself?
I started off doing Let's Plays just on this world, and I did that. And in fact, my first couple of videos I actually have removed. They're privatized because they were terrible to start with. But it was okay. So I have a habit of picking up hobbies and then not doing anything with that for a few months.
Do
And
you have
so,
ADHD?
amongst other things, yes. And so,
Sorry, that was like weird personal.
well, I mean, I am the admin of an ADHD community,
Yeah,
so
okay.
I mean,
Open
kind of
secret.
begs the question. And I didn't know if I would stick with it. And so the first 5 or 6, actually first 10 episodes or so, I didn't advertise it. It was a lot of me trying to find my groove, trying to make things work, trying to figure out how to make things work. Is this something I'm going to stick with? Is this something I like?
Season 0.
Yeah, basically. And it was one of these decisions that I sat on for, I don't know, a year and a half. Like, do I want to do this? Do I even want
Wow.
to try this before I even pulled the trigger and did the first episode?
Wow.
Wow.
Because I wasn't sure I
That's
would do it.
patience.
How
do you do this?
Patience and executive dysfunction.
Nice, because I just like, I don't know, I'll hyperfixate on something and then impulsively be like, yes, this will be what I do for the rest of my life.
That's funny. That's really funny.
Honestly, joining Limelight was bit impulsive. Worked out pretty good.
It was a good impulse join.
Yeah, I mean, I had been playing for like I knew that Minecraft was like a long-term thing for me, but content creation, I just like blindly walked right into that, and it's been a lot harder than I expected.
Yeah,
content creation is not an easy thing to do.
Yeah.
No, it's not. I think a lot of people think oh, it's easy, and I think maybe back in the day, and I think we've all done single player let's play type videos, but back in the day it might have been a little easier to do something like that.
Yeah.
But nowadays you really have to find something special, and you have to be something special. You have to be
saturated
unique.
market. Yeah.
It's a very saturated market.
And there's certain things in Minecraft that do better than others. In fact, we were talking about this a week or two ago. Chili and I was. And she asked a question of, are modded videos easier or harder to do? And to go along with that is an answer is it's yes and no.
Yep, I agree.
So if you look at like the 100-day thing, which is like has been all the rage and now it's kind of tapering off, that was started by Luke the Notable on just to like tongue-in-cheek type of thing. He says, I wasn't planning on it. It was just something that sounded like it would be kind of fun. And then Forge Labs got a hold of it, and now everyone is doing them. They're still coming out quite regularly. But
For the uninitiated, what is 100 days thing?
so 100-day
Just
video
like,
is
yeah.
it's I'm gonna do this, and over a course of 100 days, watch me do this for 100 days, like hardcore, 100-day hardcore. You know, I'm gonna
Okay.
play in this world with these restrictions for the next 100 days.
Okay, like that Minecraft butt thing.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Minecraft, but everyone's a fish type of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
I've seen
I
it.
actually
I've
did
seen it.
watch a
Someone did it.
video. Yeah, I watched a video where they were all fish and they beat the game. And yeah, I'm not gonna lie, that was entertaining. That was crazy.
Oh, I've
It was
never
very
seen
funny.
that. That's funny.
It is something else to behold for certain. But right now hardcore is kind of all the rage, and now that's starting to taper off. I found it easier to do modded videos than vanilla videos. Even with the difference between a standard Let's Play and an SMP. Now, my standard Let's Plays, I haven't done one in quite a while because I've been so occupied with my current story arc and how much time that's taking that I haven't really had time, which is sad because I have like 5 projects on this world that I really want to do because I have a vision for this that is, I think in the end is going to look really nice, but it's going to take a lot of time.
On this server?
On this world. Like I said, we'll do a proper tour afterwards, but I'll show you and kind of give the idea what I'm looking down, and I think you'll understand a little bit.
Okay.
I just have to say I am incredibly envious that you have a world as old as this world. There are a lot of people there's a lot of people that still have worlds as old as this world, but I am not one of them. And
yeah.
I'd really love to be one of them. There's so much history.
I do.
I just started a server, just a little side server. I don't know what's going to become of it. But what I'm trying to say is, I spent so long looking for the perfect seed, and you probably just put in whatever, right? Like,
yep.
Yeah.
I just whatever came up, and it's because first of all, I didn't know what seed values were because I was that noob.
Yeah.
Second, if I was to do it again, I would not do any different, and the reason why is because you have a bit of a challenge not knowing what you're getting into. When you do seed searching, you're like, you know where everything is off the bat. There's some mysteries and things that you've taken away from the experience, and so I tend not to, because I feel like you're detracting some of the experience by doing that.
I know what you mean, and yet the idea that I can make sure that all the biomes are present and every structure is within any kind of reasonable distance. I want to have all of my options. I don't want to be limited by a bad seed where it's like tundra for days and, the next bamboo jungle is 6,000 blocks away. I can't live with the risk.
The risk of having to travel to your next biome?
Not like travel, but I don't know, what if the nearest mansion is 20,000 blocks away?
And you get to go on an adventure.
Yeah, my nearest mansion is not in my world borders.
What?
You don't have a mansion in the world border?
My world border is 3,000 from center, and that's on purpose.
Really? And you've got several different updates worth of terrain in that 6,000 block radius. Or 3,000 block radius, 6,000 block diameter. That's incredible.
Yep.
I was just talking to Taco about how I prefer a small map. So I prefer to find a small map with all the biomes, with all the structures. And Taco was saying that he prefers a limitless map. So that's just a very interesting.
I don't mind the travel. I had a single player map that I got bored of the area that I was working in, and I just spent 2 or 3 hours one day, and I just walked in a straight line trying to find new terrain that I enjoyed. And I started up. I mean, obviously, I brought some materials and tools and stuff like that with me. A bed.
Always a bed.
Oh, sleep. Always a bed. And
I turned phantoms off, so don't worry about that.
No, that's okay. I just don't like night.
Fair.
But I don't mind that walk and that journey to try and find a new
Mm.
area to build in, new area to play in, make new things.
I think
I
part
have
of
a
the
I have a
Go ahead.
side question.
Sure.
Am I supposed to have haste 2 right now?
You should.
Oh, wait, I have haste 1.
I also have haste 1.
What? Okay. Let me fix the beacon.
I hear you over here just plowing through blocks, and I'm like, click,
Well,
click,
I'm
click.
well, okay.
It's totally okay.
So
I don't
when
mind.
you've had a world this long, you take some liberties.
Okay,
So
so
Sure.
there you take liberties, but the seed is too far. That's
So this goes back to content creation for me. Actually, why I've made some of the decisions I have.
Mhm.
Um, so when I first started making videos, I'm like, all right, so I have a couple of mods that allows me the fly state in survival because it's
Mhm.
easier to build. I don't want to
Oh,
do
for
creative
sure. For
because
sure.
that's just cheaty. That's too cheaty
Yeah.
even for me. And so I have a mod that allows me to have fly while in survival. And
So
so I'll do that for
it's
building.
it's similar to being able to fly in creative, but you can't just like pick whatever block you want. You have to go by
Yeah.
what you've collected. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yeah. I still have to do the survival grind.
Yeah.
I still
But
have
the
to do
placing of the blocks. Yeah.
the placing of the blocks. And so I tend to that'd be the only way that I will do builds is in if words are hard. The only time I
They
use
are.
fly is when I'm building.
Okay.
Otherwise, I
Mm.
use rockets. So that is my restriction, my self-imposed restriction.
Okay.
Okay.
That's something that is an interesting concept, is self-imposed restrictions to keep things interesting.
Yeah.
Because if everything's too easy, like if you just played in creative, I mean, creative's boring after a while. It's cool to build something, but the
Ooh.
longevity of it is kind of
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
I've
not
actually
great.
thought about doing something like long term and creative just because it piques my
Really?
interest so much. Yeah, I mean there's obviously
What?
there's no survival grind, but I just love building so much and experimenting with things and world edit and all sorts of stuff. But anyways, I'm
Yeah.
getting sorry I interrupted you. What were you saying?
No, that's perfect though, because so many people feel so differently about that. So some people are like vanilla purists and they hate anything that changes any part of the game because it's like it's cheaty or it doesn't fit their like self-imposed restrictions of vanilla. And then there's modded Minecraft, which is limitless. It's crazy. And then
Mhm.
how do you balance like how many mods are too many mods, or what changes are, and everyone has a different idea of that. And so it's kind of hard to have an SMP.
So when I made the decision to add fly, to add a couple of other things, I debated over this like really, really long time. And
Mm,
I came down to I need to play in the way that's fun for me.
Yes,
yeah,
that's what's
So
important.
if
for
it's
sure.
not fun for me, I'm not going to do it. And people who
Yeah,
understand that this is about how I'm having fun and how I get enjoyment, and it's not that I'm
yeah,
trying to take stuff away, then
yeah.
this is what I'm doing. It's the
Okay.
kind of the same thing where you get to let's plays and how let's plays are kind of played out. Let's be honest. Hermitcraft's at the gold standard of this
Yeah,
is what a let's play should look like. But even Hermitcraft is like they're I would call them
evolving.
vanilla plus at this point
Yeah,
Yes,
because
I
of all the
agree.
mods they added. And it's
yeah,
not I'm not bashing on Hermitcraft. Hermitcraft still puts out some good content, but
yeah,
it's what they've had to do in order to stay relevant.
Yep,
yeah.
I
They've
agree.
evolved. Yeah.
And you
So I
have
mean,
to in the saturated market thing like we were talking about.
oh,
Mm.
absolutely, you have to.
Because if you're gonna put out content that people don't want to watch, you're not gonna be a very good content creator.
Um, where was I? Oh yeah, content creation for
They're modded.
Modded. Modded is a different boat altogether, and a different story
How
altogether.
so? How so?
Well, unless you're already familiar with the mods to begin with, you're in a completely different like realm of experiences,
Mm,
and you don't
like
know.
discovery.
Like Discovery. For example, just this is a good but bad example is Applied Energistics 2. It's a very, very tech heavy mod, very tech heavy. And it's got one of the most robust storage systems that anyone has ever seen or has ever made. But to get that storage system up and running, it is like 20 hours of work.
Wow.
It is intense. Is it doable? Yes, but it is intense. There's so much to do. And a lot of mods add so much to the game that it's not even the same game anymore, really.
I mean, Pete, that's moving the goalpost. That's keeping it interesting for yourself.
It is. And in fact, I think that mods are one of the reasons why Minecraft has survived as long as it has. Is
Oh, for
because the
sure.
modding community has kept it interesting.
I agree.
Yeah.
I can't remember who I was talking to, but just the other day they were saying, what happens, what's going to be the death of Minecraft, and they were saying like not updating the game, which almost killed it years ago, but mods brought it back. The modding community brought it back.
Ooh, one of our questions that we wanted to ask was about being on an SMP and if that is different with modded versus not modded. Or yeah, just wanted to pivot to like the SMP side of things.
So yes. So mods can get very, very laggy very quickly. And
Oh,
if
yeah.
you've got lots of people doing the exact same mods, like AE2, like I was talking about, it's very CPU intensive. That's going to cause a lot more lag than, say a mechanism, which is a lot of building stuff, but it's not a constant thing that's ticking all the time. Or if you have something that's going to keep chunks loaded all the time.
Yeah.
So when you're doing an SMP with mods, you have to be considerate with, first of all, how many people are there, and
Yeah.
is there a reason why you should or should not team up for certain projects? Just for lag friendliness issues.
Yeah, that's a different consideration. I mean, we try to be mindful of lag, but it's not like that serious.
It can get very laggy very, very quickly when you start doing with mods.
I played all the mods 7 for a brief period of time, and it was pretty tough on my system. And I've got I don't want to say like extremely beefy system, but it's a good system. But that was my fans didn't stop spinning those days.
Yeah. All the mods is a lot more intensive than, say, all of Fabric, which is where, actually, no, that's not true. It's where I got my first solo modded experience. My very first modded experience actually turned into an actual mod pack. I have a mod pack on CurseForge from my son. It was the one I bought Minecraft for, introduced me to mods. And
Nice.
he
Oh,
threw me a
interesting.
mod pack, says, "Hey, let's play this." I'm like, "Oh, okay." And so he was the one that taught me AE2. He taught me a lot of the stuff, and kind of got me like in the environment for mods. And now I do like walkthroughs and how tos for Spectrum.
Oh, okay, nice. Yeah, I saw a couple of those pop up.
And he was the reason why I got involved in the first place. And when I went from, I made a mod pack out of it, but when I went from that, which was Forge, to Fabric, the performance difference was pretty large. Forge is
For the better or for the worse?
for the better. Fabric is actually quite a bit faster, quite a bit leaner too, because it's
Okay.
built on the concept of what Minecraft should be, where Forge was, well, Forge is still kind of clunky, let's be honest. It's great concept and great design, but it's kind of clunky. It's because it's old and they've updated it, but they've not really optimized it very much.
Sure.
Fabric is a lot cleaner, and so all the mods pack is very, very memory intensive. All the Fabric 5 pack can be, but for the most part, I had less issues with it. That's my personal experience.
Gotcha. We're pretty much pretty much all the mods we have are for performance or for content creation specifically.
Quality of life type of stuff.
Yeah, and then just like some vanilla tweaks
I was
just for
over here.
quality of life.
I was over here on this server trying to open a shulker box in the air. Couldn't figure out why it wouldn't open.
See, can't live without it.
Yeah, it's pretty handy. I was
Opening a shulker in the air.
Yeah, quick shulker.
Oh, nice.
You can, yeah, it's very nice. That's one of my few things where, like, if I had to pick like one mod, that's probably top 3.
Wait. Pick one or pick top 3?
It would be a hard decision between those 3, is what I'm saying. I didn't want to nail it down.
So I have an interesting question for the two of you, actually.
Yeah.
Ooh, tables are turned.
Tables are turned a little bit. 1.20. What do you want and what do you expect?
Oh my gosh.
So what I want, I'm gonna jump on the bandwagon. I'm not jumping on the bandwagon because it's like the only wagon. I want an inventory update.
Yeah.
I am suffering with the inventory issues that are going on. And my biggest example is, I don't know if you've ever built anything using Deep Slate, but there's, I mean, what is it, like 18, 19 different variants of Deep Slate when you incorporate walls and stairs and slabs and all of it?
So I take it you've not seen my cathedral?
I have not.
It's 32,000 blocks.
Holy smokes.
And it's Deep Slate.
It's a lot of Deep Slate. It was 14 shulkers of Deep Slate.
Wow.
Yeah, so that is kind of what I'm saying, you know, like when you have so many different variants of one building block and then you want to try and mix in other blocks in that palette as well. I mean, you almost have to have that easy shulker mod to be able to just pop open shulkers on the go and not place them down. But I will say, so far from what I've seen, I really like it. Like, I think the bookshelves, the chisel bookshelves, are my favorite. I like the bamboo block and the new bamboo wood style just because it adds an extra palette to build with, but that just makes the inventory problem even worse. Because now you're going to have how many different variants of bamboo that you're going to have to try to organize.
That's true.
Fair enough.
So those are my thoughts.
So as I mentioned, I am a newer adopter adoptee by Minecraft. I'm late to the game. I don't have the same kind of nostalgia that other people have. Like, I don't want to open a can of worms, but like Star Wars things, some people get really upset about the changes to the lore, the changes to the story, or like, you know, the interpretations. So with Minecraft and those updates, I'm like, whatever you got, throw it at me. I don't really have a lot of expectations, and I don't have a lot of, I don't know, I'm just kind of like open to whatever's coming next because I can't change it anyway. So it's not really worth my time to like fret about it.
I would love to say one thing in regards to the update.
Yeah.
Okay.
When 119 came out, there was a lot of community, I don't know if anger is the right word, but like upsetness, that's not even a word, that they didn't get what they wanted as far as fireflies, like you were mentioning, and the birch forest update.
The unkept promises. Yeah.
The unkept promises. So first of all, again, I don't want to get too far into that, but like the birch forest was concept. It was never said that it was going to be a feature. But anyways, I want to say, and I actually made a pretty long Twitter post about it at the time, but like name one other game that gives you annual, if not more, free updates that you do not have to either pay for or buy a new game.
Yeah. And it's free
100%.
forever. It's not a subscription. Yeah.
I've been playing for 10 years, so
And
yeah.
how much did you pay for that game 10 years ago? $7?
No, I think it was 21.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I think I paid 25.
I think it's 30 now.
Yeah. Or
But that's
27
my
being
point.
good.
I mean, even if it's
Yeah.
30, any other AAA title is going to be 60, 70, depending on the
60, yeah.
console, you know?
Yep. Yeah,
And
no.
in my
true.
opinion, I think Minecraft is better than most other AAA titles.
Of course you think that, because it's what you play. And I agree. You're not wrong.
That's my thought about the updates, though, and I think that the community, in my opinion, I don't want to, I'm not
There's some entitlement.
kind of, yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
dogging on anybody for having an opinion because everyone's entitled
Sure.
to their opinion, but I just think that we should be a little more appreciative of what we are getting.
They
Oh,
got a
yeah.
little bit of hate, honestly. Yeah.
Well, I think some of that came from the fact that we didn't really get anything that hadn't been talked about for 2 years.
Yeah.
Aside
Yes.
from the swamps, which was a surprise to most people, but not to me. Because that was the next in the line. But
Mhm.
I'll explain that in a second.
Okay.
I have a theory. The reason I have a method to my madness to why I asked you this, because I have a theory. But yeah, we didn't get anything that we hadn't like seen or heard about or been talked about for 2 years. And things got delayed and delayed and delayed, delayed. I'm surprised it took
Yeah.
Mojang this long to take the stance they're doing now, where we're not giving you any information that we're not ready to release.
I think it
Yeah.
was the smartest move they could have done, though.
Definitely.
I think they should have done it a long time ago. And
Yeah.
I props for them for holding out as long as they did. But I knew
Yeah.
eventually it would bite them in the butt. And it did, unfortunately.
Yeah. I think they handled it very well, though.
They did. They did. Lady Agnes came out and she was very, very apologetic about it. And you could tell it was bothering her in that video. You could
Yeah.
tell she was not happy about it. Because this is what she would want, and it's what she would want out of Minecraft for her too. So
Yeah, she's another one with a 10-year-old world that I
She
just
did.
learned about the
Yeah.
other day.
She's the only one that I know of that has a world older than mine.
Wow. That's awesome.
Only by about 6 months, but yeah, her world is older than mine. So my theory crafting on why the swamps weren't a surprise for me goes back to the biome vote.
Yeah.
So if you look at the percentage of biome votes cast for those 2 or 3 years, so what do you see? You have, well, the taiga won the one, the mountain won the other. But if you look at the remaining percentage of not the number of votes, but the percentage of votes, and you order them and you rank them by total percentage number, the next one, highest one, was swamps. The next one after that will be is savanna. So if we get a biome update, I'm putting a bet right now that it's probably a savanna update.
Putting your reputation on the line.
A little bit. However, what I think we're going to get is something along more line to archaeology. And the reason why I say that is because of frogs.
What?
When
That's an interesting theory.
let me
I did
explain.
not expect frogs.
Hold on. So think about it. When frogs came out, I said, "Oh wait, look, frogs, cool. You can breed them with slime." Did anyone stop to ask what happens if you eat the magnum slime? No, no one stopped to ask.
Say that again.
Did anyone stop to ask why can they eat magma cubes? I mean, frogs can eat slimes, but can they eat magma cubes? Magma cubes are slimes. But no one even they can. But when it first released, they could not. When they first put it out, that was not something that they could do. But then again, who even bothered to even check? I don't know anyone who bothered to check. They look at the patch notes and said, "Hey, look, they can do this with slime." I don't think there's no one I know of that even bothered to try it with magma cubes. So now they've always got some extra thing up their sleeve, like with the bastions and the piglins, and then later they added the brutes, right?
Yep. That was a .2, I think, update.
That was .2, .3 update for 1.16. So now they've given us camels, and camels right now are lacklusters. But what Lady Agnes has come out and says is we don't want to add anything that's not going to be useful for the player in the long run. So we have camels, we have bamboo, Um, if if my theory is correct, then they're holding back on the camels.
Okay, what do you think the camels are going to be able to do?
I don't know. I don't know. And that's what I haven't been able to figure out. It's like, well, what else do they have in store? Because I can't imagine that they don't have something else planned for camels. I think there's more to it than, hey, look, there's this thing you can ride. You can have 2 players on it, and mobs can't reach you. Because that's
I think
not
that's pretty good already.
it is. But most people are not going to use ground transport. I mean, how many people use horses because we
Oh,
have elytras now, right?
That is
So
very true. That wow.
I tell you who, it's me on my last server because I didn't even open the Nether for a really long time. That was a self-imposed restriction that was unpopular, semi-popular. They understood.
right, I get it.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot more play going on here than what we can see. And
Wow, this
I
is a
think that is,
conspiracy theories episode.
oh, maybe a little bit, but there's,
I love it.
so I did game design. I worked on an MMO, and when you are in that environment long enough, you start to look at things like the way Mojang's handling things from a different point of view. And that perspective changes how you approach every single game you look at it. So, all right, well, they're doing this and they have a history of doing this. Then what are they planning that we don't know about? Will it be this update? Will it be the next update? Was it update down the road? We don't know. But I do think they have much larger plans down the line for camels. It may not be the next one, but
Hmm.
I don't think they're done because they tend to add multiple sets of functionality because, like I said, as Agnes said, they don't want to give players anything that is not going to be inherently useful. The players are not going to
Hmm.
want to seek out and use for one reason or another.
That's a really good point.
Layers of functionality. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they got to know that people don't use ground transportation.
Of course.
A little bit back on the update though, I am really happy about the quality of life little tweaks. Not even just quality of life, but like customization, like the kind of not like developer, but like server management stuff, like lava being renewable, like little things like that, or just the little options that they've added in the game. I really, really appreciate that.
Yeah, I definitely that lava renewability, like you just said, I have mixed feelings about it. I like it because right
I
now
like that it's
renewing
an option.
true. Right now renewing
Yeah.
lava is very slow.
Yeah.
I actually just built a little dripstone lava farm, and I mean really little. But I don't know, like, is it OP in my opinion?
Maybe, but my point is that they're putting it in our hands and they're not
Yes.
playing like, hey, like what's allowed and what's not, like this isn't vanilla enough or whatever. They're like, you guys know how you want to play. We're going to give you those options.
Exactly
Yeah.
like Enki said, like he wants
Yeah.
to play the game how he's gonna have fun.
Yeah.
I
Totally.
like that a lot.
If you look at like Reddit, in fact, this was a question on the Minecraft subreddit the other day. It says, "Is using this mod cheating?" And the top response was, "If it's fun for you, then no. If you're playing on a
Yeah.
server and other your server mates don't know about it, then yes. But if it's
Yeah.
how you enjoy playing, then no, it's not cheating. Don't let anyone tell you what is and is not cheating on your personal world
Right.
Absolutely.
because you have to play the way it's fun for you. Otherwise,
Yeah.
why are you bothering?"
Yeah, otherwise
Yeah.
why are you playing?
Yeah. There's no sense in just like torturing yourself for like the brownie points.
Right?
Should we move into like a content creation kind of thing or?
Well, I was kind of getting there a little bit ago when I asked about the single player versus I guess I didn't even get to ask about the single player versus multiplayer. We got sidetracked with something else. But in your opinion, do you favor making single player or SMP content?
SMP content.
Do you find it
I
one easier or more difficult?
no, well, I have to think about that for a second.
We were kind of saying there's the advantages to both.
There are advantages to both. If you're playing on a server, then you don't have to make all the farms yourself.
Mm.
True.
The
That's for sure.
the thing that I have found, even with any world, whether it's single player or multiplayer, is that the hardest part is building the infrastructure. Once you have the infrastructure in place, the building part is easy because you have everything you need to get most of the blocks you need relatively quickly. But if you don't have to build all the infrastructure and you've got people that will help you out with either building it or with your projects, then that's all the better, because it means you can actually get through and do the things you want to do. I personally, I like both for different reasons. I went looking for a content creator SMP because I wanted to play with people, and that was something that when
Makes
I
sense.
was when I was doing it solo, I had a couple people say, you know what, you're a lot more watchable when you're playing with someone else,
Mm.
or you've
Okay.
got other
That's
interactions.
kind
I'm
of
like, that makes
harsh.
sense. I
A little
mean,
more watchable, tolerable.
I would love to hear that. Like if somebody told me something like that, hey, you're more watchable when you're doing this, because that to me,
Oh, no, yeah.
yeah, that to me would say, well, if you do this, more people are going to want to watch you and you're going to grow your
Yeah.
channel.
Well, and then it's like, are you compromising yourself? But not really. It's just like hanging out with people. It's not really like compromising your style.
no, I mean, if you can find the right group of people to play with, then
Uh-huh.
it's it's a cakewalk, because you'll want to play with them, and
Sure.
And
that's the
how
difference.
that's the thing, isn't it? How do you find the right group of people to play with? That is so hard. I looked for months and months and nothing worked. And then I made my own. And then I wasn't sure I was going to find anything that would work for me. So, how did you land on Autocraft? Or maybe, I don't know, maybe your standards, like, I don't know. Yeah. So, what's the story of you choosing Autocraft?
Okay, so I had been through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different SMPs. And at first I was going through SMPs just to create content on them, and then I went, all right, I want a community that I can create content with. And then I
Yeah.
found a couple, they're like, yeah, we do these storyline, story arc things. And some people took like inspiration from Hermitcraft. And
Mhm.
that's fine. And that just kind of breeds at least some of that community which I was looking for.
Yeah.
But then I found I that a lot of these places that were doing that, they were not respectful of the fact that I was creating content. And so I wanted a
In
content
what way?
creator. Well, I tend to try and make family friendly content. I don't swear, I don't
Gotcha.
curse, I don't I try and keep things lighthearted and humorous when possible, because that's what it is. But when I get on Discord
Yeah.
with some of these groups, then it was a lot of vulgarities. I'm like, hey, I'm recording. Could you not? It's like, I don't care. Bleep you, you know? It's like, all right, fine.
Mm,
And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that's not okay.
and
That's
so
very disrespectful.
it is.
Yeah.
And I went from one to the next. And so I found another one that was a great community. Still a fantastic server. I recommend people to them all the time. And they are very large, but there's very little collaborative like stuff for me there, because they've been well
Mm,
established for quite some time. Great people, fun to chat with, but there was very little collaboration for me there. And then I ended up on Questcraft, which was content creation plus the ADHD community, which I needed. I didn't. It was one of those situations where almost everyone in that server was. I didn't know I needed this community until I had the community.
aw, yeah.
And so that's where I found myself. It's like, I need this community, but I didn't know I needed this community. And so the most of the content creators on that server were Twitch. There was 2 other people that put out videos, and I think they only put out 2 each. And I think I ended the season with like 13 or 14, and that was after about 4 or 5 months. And
Wow.
so I'm like, I want a server where everyone is a content creator. And so I
Content creator or
started
YouTuber?
a YouTube content creator.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
I don't care if they stream on Twitch, but I need someone else who also does YouTube, who understands, we can help each other grow, right? Because
Yeah.
I figured if I got part of a server that was already sort of established, that they already had audiences, I could bring my tiny audience, because at the time I only had like 70 people, and I'm almost at 220 now in less than
Oh,
a year.
wow.
So I've
Wow.
grown a lot.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm very, very, very happy with my growth. It's not quite where I wanted to be at the year, but I knew my goal was really ambitious anyway.
What was your
Um,
goal?
500.
Okay.
So yeah, but I'm not upset. I'm not upset in the slightest.
Well, hey, you still
Um,
got a couple
No.
weeks.
well, I still have 4 months for my 1 year mark for Autocraft, but
All
Okay,
right
okay.
then. All right.
um,
Let's go.
Enki MC, that's my channel. Link, go ahead and subscribe, please.
Yeah.
That's all.
We'll absolutely link you to all the things.
Yep.
Yes.
And so I went looking for that community, and I actually found they had open applications. I actually looked at Limelight, but I didn't know how to apply.
Okay.
I couldn't find
Oh,
an application.
no.
You said that, but you said you applied when we didn't exist.
Maybe it was, I don't know. I did say something like that. And I swear it was you. Maybe it was someone else.
Yeah,
I
we
looked
didn't
at.
exist until May.
Okay. All right. Well, it was someone else then. But
Okay.
I looked at a couple different places. Like, yeah, we're taking
Yeah.
people, but how do I apply? I couldn't find a Discord. Couldn't find a web page.
Gotcha.
I DM'd one of them and got no answer. I'm like, well, what do I do?
Yeah.
And so I was like, all right, well, I guess I'm just going actively searching. And so I went through like Minecraft buddies on Reddit, and I went through the server section on Reddit, and I thought, hey, this Hermitcraft like server. I'm like, all right, but everyone was in Europe, which was an issue.
Infamous. What?
Yes.
Where are you finding all the Europeans?
Hey,
It's
stop!
all
Don't tell her.
Americans.
She's gonna abandon us.
No, I'm going to recruit them. Come on.
Um, that this
Sorry.
was almost a year ago. I don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry, Chili.
No, it's totally fine. I'm just kidding.
And then I'm like, you know what? Let's go to other places where other people are using the same type of tools I'm using. And so I started going to like Discords for Lightmatica and for a mini HUD,
Interesting.
and then I ran
Oh,
across the one for Replay Mod, and
gotcha.
I started going through and looking at everyone because it had a poster creation section, and
Oh, that's smart.
I went through everyone's videos until I found one that says, "Hey, we have open applications," and that happened to be Rusty from Autocraft. I'm like, "Cool." So I filled out an application. I heard back from them like 4 days later, and the next week they had invited me in.
See,
It
this
was
is why I wanted
pretty
to
fast.
talk to content creators from other servers, because like that is so smart to go through the mods and with other content. That's something that I would do. Thank you for that cool idea.
You're welcome. So I bounced around a lot. I've been through a lot. And content creation on a new world is hard, especially when you don't have an established rapport with them. And so
Yeah. What was that like getting started with them?
they were actually they're very friendly, very open. I explained to them what was going on, and they said, "Well, you're over here. Why are you leaving?" And I explained, says, "Well, I'm looking for a site to play, make content creation."
Yeah.
Well, exclusively, because this got to be like the Twitch streamers would stream, and then after like 4 or 5 weeks they stopped streaming, and it ended up being just me out of 100 something people, or at that time it was like 70 something people. I was the only one still making content.
That's a
Ah,
very, very common problem, and I'm sorry to
yeah.
interrupt you, but I just want to say to everybody, don't give up, because if you're
Yeah.
in that situation, I think all three of us sitting here right now have been in that situation, and I think all three of us right now have found at least one place that we're happy to call home now.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry to interrupt,
And
like I said.
no, it's fine. I have a horrible habit of interrupting people anyway, so I get it. But it's a very common story of like, hey, we're doing this SMP, we're just going to start up, and you get
Yeah.
in there, and after about 3 weeks, server's dead.
Yep.
I
There's
mean,
no one
3
there.
weeks. Yeah, it's like three months at best. And then, yeah, 3 weeks to 3 months.
And so
Not a
it
lot you
became
can do.
it's
Yeah.
very common. Became very, very common. And so it's like, all right. So when I found Autocraft, I'm like, oh, they're on season 2. Well, that's promising, because it means they've got some staying power. They've been around a while. They've got a rapport, and that's fantastic. And so I made the transition over, and incidentally made my alter ego in the process.
Okay, so I want to jump on the how servers die. And why that is. Like, why do they die so quickly? And what could somebody do intentionally other than just finding a magical situation where it's just, the right situation? Because that can happen. That's rare. But what do you do to prevent a server from dying? Like, in your experience, what does
With your
that
admin
take?
experience.
Yeah. And as a
um,
player. Yeah.
community involvement and events. So
But you have to be more
if you
specific because that's super vague. Yeah.
all right, so Autocraft works because the community is involved with each other. We spend time with each other. We spend time talking to each other. We brainstorm with each other. We talk about this other stuff. There's everyone is involved to a degree, one way or another. Of this is we're all in this together, and we're all look at it. And so finding like-minded people who want what you want,
Yeah.
is important. But it's also important that your community, regardless of what it is, you do things together as a community, because that builds that relationship, which makes people want to
Yeah.
keep playing. So for small servers that are just starting up or just trying to get going, the biggest thing I think you could do is you need to have a mini game district. You need to have games. You need to have events. You need to have contests. You need to have something to keep people there, and
Novelties.
novelties until the community builds itself, and then they self-run their novelties.
But like that fledgling stage.
Absolutely. So people need to have a place where they feel like they can be involved, because they feel like they are involved, but they're like wanted around. They have a reason to want to log in because there's something there that they need.
That investment.
Yes.
I mean, that's a little bit different because novelty and investment are not really the same thing. They can coincide.
Right. And I think that's why servers die, is it's a novelty. Novelty wears off and dopamine goes away. And dopamine's gone,
Yeah.
then the novelty
Well,
wears off.
maybe
That's why you need to build it as a
maybe that's what it
community.
is, though. It's that combination of novelty that encourages investment, that supports investment. But that's a process. You can't just immediately be invested in something.
Correct.
So you need the novelty to kind of draw you in and let that be the slow process that it needs to be, but it keeps you entertained until you've made that bond.
Yep. The one leads to the other.
Ooh, symbiotic relationship.
It very much is. I mean, you
Yeah.
can't have one without the other. I mean, you can do events all you want, but if the community isn't invested, then it doesn't matter,
Your event's not going to succeed.
right? You've got to have an active community who care.
Something that you and I talked about really early on in our conversations was the age limit
Oh,
in
yeah.
SMPs. And you said that you guys were initially 16 and up, but you kind of pivoted to 18 and up. And
Yes.
I'm wondering about that in terms of, I mean, just kind of to pivot off of the novelty and investment.
We got a lot of applications from people who weren't taking it seriously. Who,
Gotcha.
the phrase of "that's a very 2012 Minecraft build" was said way too early.
Oh my God, the shade.
Like
The
so
shade.
one of the questions we asked is was post pictures of your favorite builds, and
Yeah.
we'd get things like dirt huts and boxes for houses, and I mean
And that's
people
their
who,
favorite build.
or that's their favorite build, or we'd get stuff like we had one guy who says, well, I don't have any pictures on me, but I attached a Word document of a few things. And he opened the Word document. The Word document says, I don't have pictures. Sorry.
You told me that. It's like, how can that be real? How can it be real?
That
And
can't
so-
be.
And so it got to the point where we found that a lot of the younger crowd didn't take it seriously, and they took it kind of as a joke. Or they did content creation exclusively only streaming, which, that's fine if that's what you're looking for.
That's less
But
investment, honestly.
it's a whole lot less investment, because it takes
Yeah.
a whole lot less time, a whole lot less effort to stream than it does to put
Yeah.
together video and collaborate with your
Yeah.
fellow players. And the collaboration part is super important.
The planning and the post-production.
Yeah.
In my personal server, not personal server, but the server that I ran for about a year, a little over a year, the storytelling one, that one was supposed to be 25 and up. And then I brought it down to 21. And then I ended up making a couple exceptions. And it was kind of like 18 plus was the hard line. But I was kind of going for 21 and up. So 18 was a little like, I don't know, I was a little skeptical. And obviously the infamous Goofy interview speaks to that of how skeptical I was about the younger crowd, as you put it.
Yeah.
But there's also like some really amazing people. Some of these kids are so nice, these whippersnappers.
Right. But there's also that lack of like realization that sometimes their behavior is not appropriate.
Self-awareness.
Very true.
Yeah.
Right.
Very true.
Just maturity.
Yeah, that was the word I was about to use.
And because here's the thing, when you're streaming, you're advertising your brand. And if you're griefing someone or being a jerk or whatever, you're putting a bad name on your brand.
Yep.
And that does not make people want to watch. But some people, I know. There's PewDiePies in the world, and people dig that stuff. But that's not what your SMP is going for. You're actually you're hurting more than you're helping. You might be having fun.
There's two brands to consider.
There's yours, and then there's the server you play on. And if you want to be a jerk, go do it somewhere else.
Yeah.
But we found that there was a lot of lack of maturity in the way that a lot of the interviews that we did handle were held, with the way they held it and the way they handled it. And it was disappointing. And part of it was like, well, I want to play, but it'd only be like an hour this week, and I might be able to put out a video every couple of months. Like, well, that's not really.
Do you guys have standards for content releases?
I would say no.
As long as you're doing something.
Well, so the rule of thumb is, as long as you're working on the next one and you're actively playing on the server, it's fine.
Yeah. Gotcha.
That's kind of the way it is. If you're actively playing, then and you're constantly working on the next one, that's fine. Whatever. If it takes you a month, then that's fine. But you need to be actively working towards it, and you need to be on the server. You need not to just be a ghost.
Well, yeah. The not ghosting, the communication, like, hey guys, I'm doing this, like just letting the rest of the people know that you're around and that you're, even if you're not even on the server or not releasing content, that you're still in the same boat. You're still on the team.
Yeah.
Interacting. No. Yeah.
And that's important. Again, that goes back to the building the community and how important that really is for any server, like the ones we're on. That community involvement, either through Discord or even through individual channels, because some people have bigger individual communities than others, are important for those communities.
Who sets the tone? And you don't have to be specific. You can just, you can use other examples other than Autocraft, but what I have in mind is like, who sets the tone in Autocraft, for example, or whatever you want, for staying in touch, for what the community brand is, like who kind of is the lighthouse, or is there that, or how does that work as a community? Do you guys have somebody who is in more of a leadership role, or is it fully everyone votes? Or
so that's fascinating, because for us, we do have someone in a leadership role. That's Rustic Dragon, good guy, love him to death. But for the most part, the tone is something that is already set. It's something that everyone that's on Autocraft right now already wants. And so for us, it's been, at least from my perspective, very minimal. Now every SMP has issues. There's always some disagreements here and there, but for the most part, as far as how that goes, it's been, the tone has already been set, and it's been set by the people who are playing and not by any one person.
So there's like enough, there's like enough examples that you don't have to look at just one person, like everyone's on the same page already. So it's easier to get up to speed.
Yeah. And the only thing we all ask each other is that even if you're not recording, we're all adults. We all have a tendency to, curse every now and again. But
Yeah.
be aware that just because you're not recording doesn't mean someone else isn't.
Yeah. Yeah. We have the same policy, which
So-
I flagrantly abused in Pool's last video. Oh, I was listening to it and I was like, oh, that was a swear she edited out. Oh no, that was another one. Like 5. That was my worst one.
Chili.
Usually I'm pretty good. That one was terrible.
That's funny.
I felt bad. But it was like individual things. I wasn't like being vulgar. I was just using intensifiers. So
Enhancement words.
Enhancement words. Intensifiers. That's a great word.
Yeah. That's I let my kids swear as long as they are intensifiers in not inappropriate circumstances. So like not at grandma's house or not like at school, obviously. But as an intensifier, it's not a huge problem for me anyway.
Right. We actually
and those
had
are easier to edit out.
we had a similar policy with my kids. It's time and place.
Yeah.
And is it appropriate?
Yeah.
There's one thing. There's one
Don't
thing.
just be vulgar.
Right. Don't be vulgar
Yeah.
for vulgar sake.
And
That's
also
different.
like, there's a difference between saying like that's effing awesome and you're a effing jerk or something. Like if you're insulting someone, that's a problem. And if you're saying something's really cool, okay, like yeah, it's an intensifier. So can't be mean to
Right.
other people.
Yeah. Don't swear for the sake of swearing.
It's
basically.
it's one of our only 3 rules. Don't be a pig, Axe.
Be a pig. Axe. That's funny. I like the concept of only 3 rules.
The idea is Omni's such a dreamer, we tell him. And the dream of only 3 rules is important, but in practice, we have a lot of rules of thumb, as you said, where there are some precedents and guidelines, and we're kind of being as young of a SMP as we are, we're going through some growing pains, just figuring out like what should be a policy, what do we need a procedure for to streamline things, and what can we just like figure it out like as things come. And that's probably been one of our biggest struggles.
Challenges, yeah.
Finding that balance and finding the right balance and right like composition for that. You guys sound more stable or like established in that at Autocraft, but you are also in season 3. This is kind of our season 0.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. I think that time will kind of uncover that for us.
Yeah.
You'll find that there are people who will just mesh, and some people who won't, and some people who won't out of defiance.
Like Chili and Goofy.
Because we do mesh. We're both devious. No one else can keep up with me. And he like really, I can almost not keep up with him. We really keep each other on our toes. But who else goes head to head with me? Who else?
Well,
you're on.
A lot of new blood that we have yet to see.
Yeah. No, Goofy and I, like, we're different, but it's not like we don't mesh.
The joke for the longest time was if there's mischief involved, it's usually got involved Rusty.
Yeah.
And then I joined the server, and I think that's starting to change.
Oh, okay. Building a name for yourself.
Well, I did start a game called the Prank Potato for a reason.
We have a Prank Potato too, though.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
I'm gonna call thief because I had my idea last year.
Okay, well you can, but oh gosh, I actually have the Prank Potato right now, and Mommy said I have to do lolcat speak for an entire episode.
I heard about that. I'm really excited for that episode.
I'm scared.
Oh,
like Ken has cheeseburger speak.
Ken has cheeseburger speak.
I don't know if I'll make it like a proper episode, but anyway.
We've been doing small pranks to people's bases. One guy had his entire house filled with snowmen.
Yeah, nice.
We have a stellar builder. He's amazing. His name is Calvin on our server,
Yeah.
and he's from Argentina. But I can't have a Calvin without a Hobbes. So for the non-American audience, Calvin and Hobbes is a comic strip.
Beloved comic.
Oh, it's amazing in America, and it's about a little boy and his tiger, who's a stuffed animal, but it's his best friend.
Yeah.
And it is just this fantastic comic that is on point for the imagination of little
mischief and imagination. Yeah.
It is amazing. So I built him a 100-block tall Hobbes on top of his house.
That's so
I want to
cute.
see it.
That's coming out in my next episode. I'll show it.
Nice.
Ooh, okay, we'll
can't
link
wait.
it. We'll link it.
I'm almost done with it. I need to fix the time lapse, and
Okay.
maybe next week. Maybe it'll be this week. I'm just
Okay.
tweaking it still.
Well, we can update the description and make sure it gets in there.
Yeah.
Hey, but that's novelty and investment. Having a prank potato, it's the novelty of like what's going to happen next, and it's you have to invest in coming up with a plan, and it gives you opportunities to bond.
And if you're involved in it, that means you have to pass it along when it comes to you, I'm sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's only like 3 or 4 rules for the prank potato. Is that they must not be destructive.
Of course.
Do not kill the person unless you warn them ahead of time and you give them somewhere to store their stuff.
Yeah.
In a particularly large prank, you should be polite and help them clean it up.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's pretty much our policy as well. But that's just like common sense. That's just like, it should be common sense. Like that should go without saying.
Right. I think I added at the very end, don't catch redstone, but that's different. Yeah, that's true. It is not true in all servers. Someone's like, I don't care, I'm going to prank and I'm going to do it the way I want to do it. And I didn't think I needed to add like rules and guidelines because that's not something that's really necessary for Autocraft. But just for the sake of like content creation as a whole, I did.
Yeah.
Because there's this certain amount of expectation.
Yeah. Better be safe than sorry.
Yep.
And I guess there's like a responsibility to the audience. If you don't you're kind of like showing that there's consent involved in it and that you're not just being a jerk. And if it's fun for everybody, if everyone can laugh at it, then that's going to be fine.
Yep. And that was the other thing. There was a sign up period. Like, all right, if you wanted this, these are the terms.
Gotcha.
Then what it is. So
I kind of want to wrap up.
Yeah, we are starting to get a little long. How about we jump to a listener question to wrap this up? And Chili, where can people find us to submit listener questions if they have them for our future episodes?
Why, they can submit them on our community Discord, which we will have linked in the description. Limelight Community Discord.
Excellent. All right, so this episode's question comes from our community Discord. It comes from Ray. They want to know, why was the SMP called Limelight? And this name had been established by the time I came along. So Chili, this is more of a question for you to answer. Why are we called Limelight SMP?
Good question. I was really excited to see that one. When I joined, I was the first person to be recruited. So I had the original ad in front of me, and that was for Not Another Minecraft Server, or NAMS. And that was just kind of our placeholder because we wanted to come up with a name as a community. And we were kind of like brainstorming, and somebody suggested Luminous. And that didn't end up being a good fit because there was another SMP with that name. But I really liked the idea of light. And I was trying to think of something that was related to content creation and light, like spotlight or something like that. And ended up I think I was looking up like theater terms. Limelight is a theater term, and that refers to like the old lighting technology that they had in theaters. And it kind of is a convenient play as far as like having a brand color if you wanted to go with the lime. And it also kind of speaks to content creation in the fact that we're making a stage for ourselves and for each other, and that we're sharing the limelight, we're sharing the spotlight and the focus with each other, and collaborating. So it's kind of a nod to that. And it went over well. So we voted, and that's what won. Although I will say that we put it to a vote, and I was already so in love with Limelight, and Omni also like privately said that he really liked it as well. But it was up to a vote, so I couldn't just like publicly do this.
Implement it.
I bought the domain though. I like as soon as it was put to a vote, I just impulsively went on Google and I was like limelightsmp.com. I have to have it. It's like $12 a year. But I had to like be really patient and wait for the vote to be official. But I was so excited.
That's funny.
Well, you did end up getting it.
Yeah.
Your convenience factor too, I wanted to kind of add on to that. Now, obviously, our last episode we had talked about a handful of new recruits that we got. We now are calling them, or we had been calling them, fresh limes for a while. I thought that was kind of fun play on words.
Yeah, we kind of have like the two sides of it. You can go with like the literal lime kind of interpretation, which is really fun for branding and just for just a broader interpretation of it. And then you've got like the kind of meta theater look at it with the content creation. I like it. Works on two levels.
It does.
Definitely.
It's great.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Enki, do you have anything coming up that you want to share with the audience?
We have a stream day on the 17th. I've got an episode coming out probably in the next few days, and I'm actually learning Blender, so we'll see.
Ooh.
I did the animation, the lore animation, and I've been doing a lot of
Yeah.
those with Minimator, and I'm like, you know what? I give myself too much work to do. I've got some really
Novelty.
big. Well, I really want to wrap up this character arc. I'm enjoying it, but I need to wrap it up, and so I have some really big plans involved, and I'm toying around with Blender, see if I can figure out how to make it work in Blender, because what I want to do, Minimator may not be robust enough.
Okay. Well, finales are fun and exciting. So that's not like you're giving up on a storyline. That's like you're giving it its due. It's due attention. Really.
I am extremely excited to see what you do with Blender. I've been interested in it for a long time, but I don't have enough time to learn it. I just downloaded Minimator.
Now the pressure's on.
How about you, Chili? What do you have coming up?
I have a really, really exciting concept for my next episode. And because I feel like people connected with the kind of ADHD like angle on the last one. So I was thinking about how to really embrace that in the next one. And I was thinking about planning a story, or like planning, the story of an episode to really embrace that. And I was like, who are we kidding? I don't have any structure. Like, I just have like these random things that I do in a sequence. You could put them out of order in my last episode and it would make just as much sense. And then I was like, I could practically run them backwards and it would be the same story. And then I was like, I could run them backwards. What if I did like a memento style thing where I literally show you the end of the episode, and then every step of the way you see what I thought I was going to be getting into, and you already know how it actually ended up. So you've got an inside joke, as like I'll do something with my spider farm, and then you'll see the next scene like I'm going to go do some farming, or just some other random thing. You're like, that's not going to happen. So
okay.
I'm really, really excited to try that as a new concept.
That's clever. That's very clever. I like that.
I'm excited to see how that turns out. It might be hard for me to follow, but we'll make it happen.
I hope to make it easy to understand. I'm not gonna. It's not gonna like literally run backwards. It'll be like scenes. It'll be like sections that just are in a backwards order. So should be understandable.
Yeah, as long as you put context behind it.
For
That's
sure.
something
Yes.
that a couple of the animations I've got coming up are things that happened months ago, but it's to
Ooh, okay.
explain why some things are happening or some things happened the way they did.
Oh, okay.
And so I've got this character arc, the story arc is written in a Word document that is 5.5 pages long.
Wow.
The full thing is 5.5
Nice.
pages long. So I don't know how much of this I'm actually going to get through, but I'm through chapter 5 of 6.
Wow.
Wow.
That's a little
No,
bit.
it sounds familiar. That's what I do too with lore. I get carried away and I'm just like, there is so much more to discover here. And then I get started on a Word document. I've got that going actually with a new nation.
So what about you, Taco? What do you got coming up?
I did a little bit of recording with Ane this morning on Limelight, and I was actually just working on editing that prior to recording today. And then Slappa and I have been working on a pretty big project that I don't want to say it's a secret, but I'm not going to tell you what it is.
A mystery.
It's a mystery. You'll see it, but I think we're both very excited for that. So him and I have to find some
Okay.
time to
Nice.
get together and do some recording. So
Awesome. Well, Enki, thank you very, very much for being our first like guest on the podcast. This was really, really fun and really enlightening. It was very interesting to hear the outside perspective.
it was very interesting hearing information, I guess, about how other servers are managed.
Yeah,
and
just more
admin.
experience.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's a good word.
I like
Yeah.
words.
I when they work, I like words too.
I word good sometimes.
Awesome.
Awesome.
So
All
we're
right.
gonna start that outro music, Taco.
Yeah. Do. I don't know how it goes. I can't remember.
Well, thanks for having me on. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it too. So
Definitely. All right. Well, where'd the camera go?
I don't know where'd you put. Oh, I'm freezing. Where is the camera, Taco?
It is winter. It's not in that snowbank. I think it's right over there.
Oh.
All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in again. Don't forget, come check out our community Discord.
Come hang out. If you're a content creator, we have a little green room to discuss making content and just some of the things we talk about on the podcast, and support each other with resources and feedback. So we'd love to see you there as well.
Don't forget to check out Anki's channel.
Yes.
Enki MC, is it?
yes, ENKIMC.
On YouTube. Check it out. Bye.
See ya. Bye. Gonna log out now. Oh, yeah, gotta do that talking thing.